Good evening once again, and my name is Osan Okoro, like in the previous video, and want to apologize for starting a little bit late because we have a little bit of a power issue, and which we have sorted out, and I want us to go right in. Before now, we're trying to make us understand that we have two flavors, or this training is going to, it's actually about the network installer and the network agent. So we are going to start off by first of all making us understand what is the basic networking information that we need to know. And I am going to be taking us through this course, and I will please enjoy as we go ahead. Now, the concept networking, like we all already know, is actually broken into different stages. But the very first thing that we need to know about networking is the Internetwork. Now, in this particular course, Internetwork, we are going to be talking about the computer network, whereby, I hope you are seeing my screen. Okay, let me take it down. Okay, we are going to be talking about the Internetwork. Now, the computer network, as you have seen on the screen, is actually a combination of different network devices. And we are going to look at all those devices together. Now, in this particular, the aim of this training actually is to make us to understand the various devices we need to connect together in order for us to have a network. Now, computer network is actually a compound word of two terminologies. One is a computer, the second is network. Computer is an electronic device that does tasks that has been programmed into it. Now, and it is actually divided into three units. We have the input unit, we have the processing, and we have the output unit. So if you break a computer into three parts or three categories, the input section, the processing section, and the network section, then automatically, when you are being asked to tell you the types of computer you have out there, your phone, for example, is a computer because it has the keypad that you can input your numbers and rest into it. It has the processing section, which is actually inside the phone, or rather I can refer to it as a processor. And you have the screen, which is the output. So altogether, you can refer to it as a computer. The same goes for your laptop, your desktop, your palm top, and all that. But in order to have all of them connected into a network whereby they can now use an internet, or they can use an extranet, or an Ethernet, we have to come up with a network where they will all communicate together. We are going to talk about the OSI reference model, whereby you are going to know how these things actually communicate from layer 1 to layer 7. But in this particular case, we want to just explain to us the various gadgets you put together and come up with a network. Like, first of all, take for example what you are looking at. This is more or less like a campus network. Now, what you have here is a media converter. Now, a media converter is actually used to convert layer 2 information from electrical to usually optic fiber. So these amber lines that you're looking at in these places, they are actually fiber optic cable. Now, the aim of this section or this training is to make you, the engineer, know that we are actually evolving away from the normal connecting laptop to laptop or a laptop to a switch. We also have a look at all those. But why I brought up this diagram is because I want us to understand that it has actually transgressed or evolved to a level whereby we are connecting the whole of Africa together, meaning that we have different buildings, different geolocations that we need to connect devices and gadgets together, because everybody has what they call smartphones, iPads, and computers. So we need to have a way whereby we connect all these things together. So like I said, this is a media converter which actually connects to other media converters in other locations, and you have your fiber cable or fiber optics cable connected to it. You have your switch that everything is connected to, that is converting the optic fiber information to the switch, and you have your main or headquarters, and these are your branches. So that's the idea that we're trying to bring up to us in the sense that in all these branches we have computers in all of them. So we want to set up a network whereby each of these devices are all connected to the main public switch that goes to the headquarters. So we are looking at you as an engineer to come up with a network like this. We call it an enterprise network, whereby we have an head office in maybe places like Lagos, and these branch offices will be in different states. Are you with me? So in order for us to get these branch offices connected, you can as well do a deal with the telco companies that already have fiber optics cables running all around the country, and have your your media converters that connect it all. So we are going to teach you how to connect it from the very basic connection to this kind of connection whereby you have an enterprise setup. Now, the second thing we need to also look at is the network devices that are going to be connected. Now, networking devices is different from network device. Take, for example, where you have your phones, your laptops, and any other device that can communicate on a network, transmit or receive packets from a network. We refer to such a device as a network device. But networking devices are those devices that actually helps in transferring packets from one location to the other location. We are going to introduce you to or teach you how actually these devices they work. We have a video on our YouTube channel called Genealogy of Computers. So I actually took time to explain to us all these guys, all the things that happens in a network and how they function. We have what they call the hub. We have the hub, which actually has an issue called a single collision domain and single broadcast domain. I took time to explain all that in my previous video, or in that video whereby we talked about genealogy of computers. Then we also have gateway, which is actually standing at the edge of a network, whereby every device on that on the network actually connects to and it gets us to the internet. We also have a layer 3 device, which is called the router. The functions and the functionalities on that video, you can go to that video and have a good time in it. I took time to explain what all these things are actually doing. We have the repeater. The repeaters are actually how do I put it down? The very first item that was actually built. It only has 2 ports. You have the inlet and the outlet. What the repeater does is that it takes in weak signals and propagates it to the other end. On that video, I was trying to make us understand that in order for them to resolve the issue that they observed on the wire line, whereby after a particular length, they realized that the signal was attenuating on that cable. So they had to come up with what they call repeaters, whereby they inserted transistors. It's on that video also. And those transistors were the ones doing their amplifying and everything. Then we have another thing called the bridge. The bridge and the switch are actually the same thing. The difference is just the number of ports. The switch has a higher number of ports, while the bridge just has a limited number of ports. But they both basically do the same thing. You will find all those narratives in that video, introduction to computer. Then the next thing we're also going to talk about in Internetwork, after talking about computer network and networking devices, we are going to look at network topologies. In network topology, we have different types of network topology, and how do you differentiate them? These are the various diagrams. We have the ring, we have the mesh, we have the star, fully connected, we have the line, the tree, and the bus. Now, they all have different form of functionalities. So the best form is the star topology. Why is it that the star topology is usually referred to as the best form of network topology? We are going to take our time to explain it when we get to network topologies. Then the last on this series is the Ethernet. Now, when I was talking about the Internetwork, which is actually Internetwork, I was talking about coming from the very basic, whereby we have a system connected to the other system. What I was trying to explain to you was just Ethernet. Now, on the Ethernet, you always have a parent device that everything is connected to. Now, these cables that you are looking at, they are straight cables. And the way networking is usually done is that in an Ethernet network, similar devices are connected with a crossover cable, while the similar devices are connected with a straight-through cable. What do I mean by similar devices and similar devices? On the OSI reference model, which is how most networks are built, it's a model that you use to build your network. That's the same model that we are going to use in this lecture. We have all those networking devices that we talked about earlier on being on a different layer. Like in the layer 1, we have the hub, and on the layer 2, we have the switch and the bridge. Now, the hub and the repeater, please take note, the repeater is also part of the layer 1 because it has a single collision domain and it has a single broadcast domain. But it doesn't really just end there. It's because that is the physical layer, the layer whereby you actually have to connect to all the wiring. So that is referred to as the layer 1 device, which is a hub or a repeater. Then layer 2 devices are bridges and switches, and while layer 3 devices are servers or gateway and routers. Now, we will explain all this information or why they became layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3 devices. We'll explain all those when we are explaining the OSI reference model. But why I am stressing on that is because where you have 2 hubs to connect together, it's a different kind of cable you use than when you have a hub and a switch. So in this particular training, we are going to teach us where these things they fall into. Like now, you may ask yourself, a printer, where does a printer fall into? Sorry, printer can be regarded as a layer 3 switch. A computer can be regarded as a layer 3. A laptop can be regarded as a layer 3. While a switch is a layer 2. A game console can also be regarded as a layer 2. So what do you do now? When you want to connect a switch to a computer, because they are of different layers, they are referred to as dissimilar devices. And because they are dissimilar devices, use a straight cable, you terminate a straight cable to connect them. And immediately you connect them, you find out that it is working. So when we are doing the practical aspect of the Ethernet, which is also all the videos, we have them on our YouTube channels, and immediately after every lecture, we are going to be putting up the actual videos where we have the physical training, and we will also advise you to go through all the practical sections, because when you are able to do all these practical sections, you will now be able to create your cable. So we have videos for you to learn how to set up your do your straight cable, and we also have video for you to do your crossover cable. So now the Ethernet, this is just simply what the Ethernet is all about. We have a situation whereby maybe you have different offices, and in these different offices, or even in your home, you want to connect everybody together. This is exactly what we do. Maybe let's assume this is what is in your home. You have internet connection from wherever you get your internet connection to a particular system. Then you now do what they call internet connection sharing, which goes to the switch. And from the switch, you have every other device in your house connected. Now, why we gave you this diagram, which is actually, this is the source of the diagram. You can go there and check more about it. Now, why we gave us this diagram is to make us understand that when everything in the house is actually connected into a parent device, which is actually the star topology that we talked about. But you can actually use other forms of topologies, which we will look at very, very soon. Now, having said that, there is a new breed of Ethernet networking that we have now, which is called the WLAN, or wireless LAN, or wireless local area network. Ethernet is actually referred to as a local area network. Now, the wireless local area network is to accommodate your laptops, to accommodate your smartphones, and to accommodate your iPads. You can see over there that the laptop and the smartphones are wirelessly connected to the same network, whereby you have a cable connected to the printer, which is a printer that everybody can be using, and a cable connected to the modem. This is the wireless router. So we are going to teach us how to do all these things very, very soon. Now, the next thing, or the very first thing in this section, or in this class under Internetwork to talk about, is the computer network. And the computer network is on this particular YouTube video. I've already given a lecture on computer network. It is on this particular, you can look at the address. Please take notes, it's case sensitive. So where you have capital S, you actually type capital S there. So when you type all this as it ought to be, you go straight to that video and you watch my lecture on computer network. I want to really thank you for having time to join us in this particular series of training. We are going to be using different methods to explain these things to us, but I want to make sure that everything is documented. On Friday, we are going to have another lecture like this. Tomorrow, this lecture will be up on our Telegram, but the address you have over there is already on the YouTube channel. So you can just type that and listen to the computer network training. Why the networking devices and every other Ethernet have to prepare your cables, they will all be put there after we've introduced it in a class like this. So please drop your comments, and I will advise you on our YouTube channel, you should subscribe, so that anytime we drop a video there, automatically you'll be aware of it. And I will advise you, if you can get a modem for this particular training, I will advise you seriously to get a modem for this particular training, that anytime we have a live session like this, you will be on ground. It's better you hear me live and also ask questions while the lecture is going on, so I have a better understanding. It is still a test project, and we are making sure that everything, obeying the COVID-19 regulations, we're able to pass knowledge from one end to the other end through distant learning algorithms or distant learning models. So thank you very much, and please have it.